The Army. Before I go further, an effort should be made to explain the nature of the dynamics at work within the Nigerian Army at the time of the January 15, 1966 coup and the events that followed. Striking a balance between a level of detail that will satisfy readers who still feel the impact of these events deeply, and that which will be palatable, if not to say comprehensible, to a less well-informed reader is an impossibility, but I will strive to do so nonetheless. Historians have argued incessantly about the makeup of the January 15, 1966 coup and its meaning. It was led by the so-called Five Majors, a cadre of relatively junior officers whose frontman of sorts was Chukwuma Nzogu. Very few people outside military circles, with the exception of the poet Christopher Okigbo, knew very much about him. What I heard of him was what his friends or those who happened to know him were telling us. He seemed to be a distant, mysterious figure. Nzogu had a reputation as a disciplined, no-nonsense, non-smoking, non-philandering teetotaler, and as an anti-corruption crusader. This reputation, we were told, served him well as the chief instructor at the Nigerian Military Training College, NMTC in Kaduna, and in recruiting military intellectuals. In the wee hours of January 15, 1966, in a broadcast to the nation, Nzogu sought to explain the coup attempt. It happened that some journalists had approached him to clarify the situation. Apparently, the plan of the coup plotters was to take control of the various military commands in Kaduna, Lagos, and Enugu, and to make a radio announcement from Lagos. Unbeknown to Nzogu, who was still in Kaduna, the Lagos operation had failed, and most information available to the population was coming from the BBC. Nzogu hastily put together a speech that became notorious for its attack on the political class, bribery, and corruption. But by killing Sir Ahmadu Bello, Nzogu and the other coup plotters had put themselves on a coalition course with the religious, ethnic, and political ramifications of such an action, something they had clearly not thought through sufficiently. Superficially, it was understandable to conclude that this was indeed an Igbo coup. However, scratched a little deeper and complicating factors are discovered. One of the majors was Yoruba, and Nzogu himself was Igbo in name only. Not only was he born in Kaduna, the capital of the Muslim North, he was widely known as someone who saw himself as a Northerner, spoke fluent Hausa and Little Igbo, and wore the Northern traditional dress when not in uniform. In the end, the Nzogu coup was crushed by the man who was the highest-ranking Igbo officer in the Nigerian Army, Major General Agui Ironsi. We were to learn later that Agui Ironsi was also on the list of those to be murdered. Ironsi got wind of the plot and mounted a successful resistance in Lagos, ultimately breaking the back of the coup. Major General Agui Ironsi emerged as Nigeria's new head of state in late May 1966. In a broadcast to the nation on May 24, 1966, Ironsi banned all political parties and imposed what he called Decree No. 34 on a bewildered country. The widely unpopular decree eliminated Nigeria's federal structure and put in place a unitary republic which seemed to threaten more local patronage networks. For the first time in history, a federal military government was in control of Nigeria. There was growing anger and dissatisfaction among officers from northern Nigeria who wanted revenge for what they saw as an Igbo coup. Agui Ironsi, a mild-mannered person, was reluctant to execute the Nzogu coup plotters, who were serving stiff prison sentences. Nzog was imprisoned at the Kirikiri Maximum Security Prison in Lagos. It didn't help matters that all the coup plotters were eventually transferred to the eastern region, which at that time was under the jurisdiction of Colonel Odumegwu Ojukwu, son of Sir Louis Odumegwu Ojukwu.